I walked into my own house and found 30 women celebrating a baby shower. Blue balloons everywhere. Gifts piled high. Champagne flowing from my crystal glasses. And sitting in my favorite chair like a queen was my husband's pregnant mistress. She looked at me, smiled, and said, "We tried to keep the noise down." In my house. The house I paid for a baby she made with my husband. What I did next? Let's just say those women scattered faster than you've ever seen. And by the end of this story, I didn't just get my house back. I got my entire life back. If you've ever felt betrayed, disrespected, or small in your own life, you need to hear what happened next. Because this is about more than revenge. This is about taking your power back when someone tries to steal it from you. Stay with me. This story will change the way you see yourself. Welcome to Reality Stories Hub. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. Hey everyone, thank you for being here today. I want to tell you a story. It's my story, and I'm sharing it because I know somewhere out there, someone needs to hear this. Someone needs to know that they're not alone, that they're stronger than they think. My name is Rachel, and this story takes place in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where I built my life, my career, and where I thought I'd built my forever. 10 years ago, I met a man named Brandon. I was 30 years old, running my own successful real estate development company. I had just finished my biggest project, a shopping complex on the east side of the city, and I was on top of the world. I wasn't looking for love. Honestly, I was too busy building my empire to even think about romance. But then I attended a business conference at a hotel downtown, and there he was. Brandon walked into that conference room like he owned the place. Tall, confident, with this smile that could light up a room. He owned a chain of high-end fitness centers across Arizona, New Mexico, and Nevada. The man was successful, charming, and he knew exactly how to make a woman feel special. He pursued me like I was the only woman on earth. Every week, a bouquet of flowers would arrive at my office. He'd send me text messages in the middle of the day telling me he was thinking about me. He'd take me to the best restaurants in Scottsdale, plan surprise weekend trips to Sedona, write me little notes about how much he admired my strength and intelligence. My friends were jealous. They'd see us together and say, "Girl, you hit the jackpot." But my grandmother, she was different. She pulled me aside one Sunday after church and said, "Baby girl, when something looks too perfect, look closer. A man that's smooth has had a lot of practice." I should have listened to her. But you know how it is when you're in love. You hear what you want to hear. You ignore the little voice in your head that's trying to warn you. We got married after dating for a year. Big wedding, over 200 people, honeymoon in Bali. Those first few years were beautiful. I'm not going to lie to you. We worked hard together. We traveled. We supported each other's dreams. I was making just as much money as he was, sometimes more. When we bought our house, this gorgeous place in Paradise Valley with mountain views and a pool that looked like it belonged in a magazine, I paid more than half. Let me be clear about this because it matters. I put down 65% of the down payment. My credit score was better. I had more cash saved. That house was mine just as much as it was his, legally and financially. But somewhere around year 7, things started changing. You know that feeling when something's off, but you can't quite name it? That's where we were. Brandon started working later. More business trips that seemed to come out of nowhere. He became secretive with his phone in a way he'd never been before. He'd take calls in the garage, turn his screen away when I walked by, keep his phone face down during dinner. Little things. Small things. But they added up to a picture I didn't want to see. My best friend Jasmine told me to check his phone. She'd been through a divorce herself and recognized all the warning signs. But I was too proud. I kept thinking, I'm not that woman. I'm not going to snoop through my husband's phone like some insecure wife. Looking back now, I realized that wasn't pride. That was fear. I was afraid of what I would find. So I convinced myself I was being mature by trusting him. But let me tell you something I learned the hard way. Your intuition isn't insecurity. When your gut is screaming at you, you need to listen. Everything came crashing down one evening when I was sorting through laundry. I found a receipt in his gym bag. A receipt from a jewelry store for a diamond necklace that cost $9,000. $9,000. And I had never seen this necklace. The date on the receipt was from 3 weeks earlier, right around our anniversary. Now, he'd given me a nice gift that anniversary, a weekend getaway and a spa day. But no $9,000 necklace. I sat on our bedroom floor with that receipt in my hand, and something inside me just broke wide open. All those late nights. All those unexplained trips. All those times he'd been distant and distracted. It all made sense now. That night, after he fell asleep, I did what I should have done months before. I picked up his phone. I knew his password because he'd never bothered to change it, and I started reading. Friends, I sat in that bathroom for 3 hours going through messages. Her name was Amber, 25 years old. She worked as a personal trainer at one of his fitness centers. They'd been seeing each other for over a year. More than a year. While I was building properties and working 60-hour weeks. While I was having dinner with his parents every Sunday. While I was being a faithful wife. He was building a whole other life behind my back. And the messages that hurt the most weren't even the romantic ones. It was the ones where he talked about me. He told her I was always working, that I didn't pay attention to him anymore, that she made him feel young and alive. Like our marriage falling apart was somehow my fault. Like my success was a problem instead of something to be proud of. Then I saw the message that made my whole world stop. It said, "Baby, the doctor confirmed it. We're having a boy. I can't wait to meet our son." I had to cover my mouth to keep from screaming. This man, my husband, had gotten another woman pregnant. Not just an affair. Not just a betrayal. A whole baby was coming. A child. I sat on that cold bathroom floor until the sun started coming up. And when Brandon woke up, I was sitting at our kitchen table with my laptop open, his phone in front of me, and a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. He tried everything. Tears, apologies, excuses. He said it was a mistake, that he loved me, that he'd end things with her immediately. He promised the baby didn't change anything between us. And that might have been the stupidest thing he could have possibly said. A baby changes everything. I told him right there I wanted a divorce. But he begged me for a chance to fix things. He got down on his knees in our kitchen and cried like a baby, asking for one more chance. And here's where I made a choice that might sound crazy to some of you. I told him okay, but I wasn't really giving him a chance. I was buying myself time. See, I didn't build a successful business by being impulsive. I'm a strategic woman. I told him we'd try to work things out while I quietly contacted the best divorce lawyer in Phoenix. I documented everything. I took screenshots of every message. I started moving money into accounts he couldn't access. I was preparing for war while smiling across the dinner table. Some of you might think that's cold, but I call it smart. Never let someone know you're leaving until you're already halfway out the door. Brandon promised he'd cut off all contact with Amber. He said he'd support the child financially, but wouldn't be involved beyond that. He started going to counseling with me. He sent flowers to my office again. He tried to romance me like the old days, like he could just erase a year of betrayal with some nice gestures. And I played along. I nodded and smiled while my lawyer drafted paperwork and protected everything I'd worked for. This went on for about 4 months. For months of me pretending to forgive while actually building my exit strategy. Then came the day that changed everything. I was supposed to be in San Diego for a real estate investment conference. I was scheduled to be gone for 5 days. But the conference ended early because the main speaker had a family emergency. Instead of staying in California, I decided to come home. I didn't call Brandon to tell him. I just packed my suitcase, got in my car, and drove the 5 hours back to Phoenix. It was a Friday afternoon, around 2 o'clock. The weather was perfect, sunny and clear. One of those beautiful Arizona days where the sky is so blue it almost hurts to look at. I pulled into our driveway and immediately noticed something was wrong. There were cars I didn't recognize parked all along our street. 5 or 6 expensive SUVs and luxury cars. My first thought was maybe Brandon was having some kind of business meeting at the house, though he'd never mentioned it. But then I looked closer at the cars. These weren't business vehicles. These were the kind of cars women drive. The kind you see at shopping centers and yoga studios. I could see movement through our front windows. Flashes of blue and white. Balloons. I sat in my car for a moment, confused, trying to understand what I was seeing. And then it hit me like a truck. The colors. The multiple cars. The middle of a weekday. The balloons. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I grabbed my purse, got out of my car, and walked up to my own front door. My hands were shaking as I put my key in the lock. I opened the door, and I need you to understand what I saw. My entryway, my beautiful entryway with the tile I'd picked out myself, was filled with blue and white balloons. There was a table set up against the wall, covered with wrapped gifts and bags overflowing with tissue paper. I could hear music playing, women laughing, the sound of glasses clinking. I walked through my own house like I was in a dream. Or maybe a nightmare. In my living room, there were about 30 women. Some sitting on my furniture. Some standing in groups, talking and laughing. All of them dressed nice, like they were at a celebration. Because they were at a celebration. A baby shower. There were games spread out on my coffee table. Those silly baby shower games with clipboards and pens. There was a dessert table with blue cupcakes and cookies shaped like baby bottles and rattles. Someone had hung a banner across my fireplace that said, "It's a boy," in silver letters. And sitting in the middle of it all, in my favorite armchair like it was a throne, was Amber. She was wearing a tight blue dress that showed off her pregnant belly. She looked happy, glowing. Her hand rested on her stomach, and she was laughing at something someone had said. She looked comfortable in my house. In my chair. At her baby shower for a baby she'd made with my husband. It took them a minute to notice me standing there. I was frozen in the archway between the hall and the living room, my overnight bag still in my hand, staring at this scene that my brain couldn't process. Then one woman looked up. Saw me. Her smile froze on her face. She nudged the woman next to her. Then another woman noticed. The laughter died in waves until the entire room was silent except for the music still playing from somewhere. Amber turned to see what everyone was staring at. When her eyes met mine, I saw something cross her face. But it wasn't shame. It wasn't even embarrassment. It was annoyance. Like I was interrupting something important. She actually smiled at me. This tight, fake smile. And she said, "Oh, you must be Rachel. We tried to keep it down. Brandon said you wouldn't be home until Wednesday." The audacity. The absolute nerve of this woman. She knew exactly who I was. She'd been sleeping with my husband for over a year. She was carrying his baby. And she had the nerve to throw a baby shower in my house and act like I was the one intruding. I saw red. But here's something you need to know about me. When I'm really angry, I don't yell. I don't scream. I get very, very quiet. And very, very calm. That's the version of me that stepped fully into that living room. I set my bag down carefully. I looked around at every single face in that room. Some of those women looked ashamed. Others looked scared. A few looked like they wanted to sink into the floor and disappear. I took my time. Let the silence stretch until it was uncomfortable. Then I spoke, and my voice was so calm it surprised even me. "You have 5 minutes to get out of my house." Amber actually laughed. She laughed and said, "Actually, we're not finished yet. We haven't even done gifts." I cut her off. "Let me be very clear. This is my house. My name is on the deed. My money paid for this furniture you're sitting on. My money paid for these floors you're standing on. My money paid for that crystal you're drinking champagne out of. You are in my home, celebrating a baby that was made while I was married to that baby's father. You now have 4 minutes to get yourself and every single person here out before I call the police and have you all removed for trespassing." One of the older women stood up immediately and grabbed her purse. "I'm so sorry," she mumbled, not even looking at me. "I didn't know. I thought." She didn't finish. She just headed for the door. That started a chain reaction. Women scrambled to gather their things. Purses grabbed. Half-eaten cupcakes abandoned. Champagne glasses set down quickly on whatever surface was closest. But Amber wasn't moving. She just sat there, rubbing her belly, looking at me with this defiant expression. Brandon invited me to use the house. He said it was fine. I walked closer to her. Close enough that I could speak quietly, so only she could hear me over the sound of her friends rushing out. "Brandon doesn't own this house. I do. And Brandon's not going to own much of anything by the time my lawyers finish with him. So you can sit there all you want, but in about 2 minutes, I'm going to physically remove you. And I promise you, that's not going to be good for you or that baby. Your choice." Something in my eyes must have told her I meant every word. She struggled to get out of that deep armchair. The pregnancy made it hard. For a split second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered those text messages. I remembered her laughing about how I was always working and didn't appreciate him. I remembered that she knew he was married and didn't care. That tiny moment of sympathy died real quick. She grabbed her purse and walked toward the door, trying to keep some dignity. At the doorway, she turned back and said, "He loves me, you know. He's going to choose me." And I said something I'll never forget. Something that felt powerful and true in that moment. "Honey, you can have him. A man who cheats with you will cheat on you. But good luck raising a baby on a personal trainer's salary, because after my lawyers are done, he's going to be a whole lot less rich. I watched her walk out. I watched all of them walk out. 30 women carrying gift bags and purses, climbing into their fancy cars, driving away from my property. I stood in my doorway until the last car disappeared down the street. Then I closed the door, locked it, turned around and looked at my house. Blue balloons everywhere. Half-eaten food on plates. Champagne glasses with lipstick marks. Wrapping paper scattered around. That banner still hanging over my fireplace. I left it all exactly like that. Didn't touch a single thing. Instead, I took out my phone and photographed everything. Every angle. Every detail. Every piece of evidence. Then I called my lawyer and told her what had happened. She said the photos were perfect. Evidence of adultery and complete disrespect of marital property. Then I sat down on my couch, right in the middle of that baby shower wreckage, and I waited for Brandon to come home. He walked in around 6 that evening. I heard his key in the door. Heard him calling my name cheerfully because he thought I was still in San Diego. Then I heard his footsteps stop. Heard him say, "Oh my God." He rushed into the living room and saw me sitting there, calm as could be, surrounded by the ruins of his mistress's baby shower. His face went white, then red, then white again. He started trying to explain, words tumbling over each other. I didn't know she was going to. And this wasn't supposed to. And I can explain. I held up my hand. He stopped talking. "I want you to pack a bag and leave tonight. My lawyer will contact you tomorrow. The divorce papers are already prepared. You can move in with Amber and your baby, or you can get your own place. I don't care which, but you're not staying here." He tried to apologize. He actually dropped to his knees right there and started crying, telling me he'd made a terrible mistake, that he loved me, that we could still fix this. I looked at this man I'd spent 10 years of my life with, and I felt nothing. Not love, not even hate, just nothing. And that's when I knew I was truly done. I stood up, stepped around him, and walked upstairs to our bedroom. I locked the door and called Jasmine to come stay with me. When I came back downstairs an hour later, Brandon was gone. He'd packed a bag and left. And I haven't lived with him since that day. The divorce took 5 months. My lawyer was incredible, because I documented everything, and because my name was on most of our major assets, I kept the house. I kept half of his business holdings. I got a generous settlement. Brandon tried to fight it at first. He hired an expensive lawyer and tried to argue that things should be split differently. But when my lawyer showed the judge photographs of his pregnant mistress's baby shower in our marital home, the judge was not sympathetic. Not even a little bit. Brandon ended up having to sell 2 of his fitness centers to pay me what I was owed. Last I heard, Amber had the baby. A little boy. Brandon's supporting them financially, but apparently the romance isn't exactly alive anymore. Turns out when you're dealing with dirty diapers and 3 a.m. feedings, when it's an actual relationship instead of secret hotel rooms and exciting affairs, reality sets in pretty quick. She posts on social media sometimes. I don't follow her, but you know how it is. Friends send you things. From what I can see, he's barely in the pictures. He looks stressed, tired. He's struggling to manage 2 households. And the fitness centers aren't doing well since the divorce affected his reputation in the Phoenix business community. As for me, I'm thriving. My real estate company has grown by 50%. I just closed on my biggest development project yet, a mixed-use complex in Tempe. I bought a beautiful penthouse condo in downtown Phoenix with a view of the city lights. It's all mine, decorated exactly how I want it, modern and clean and peaceful. I've traveled to 6 countries in the past year. I've been to places I'd always wanted to visit, but never had time for. Italy, Greece, Japan. I went on a safari in Kenya. I spent 2 weeks in New Zealand hiking and exploring. I've dated interesting men who treat me with respect. I'm not rushing into anything. I'm taking my time, learning what I really want, what I really need. But most importantly, I have peace. Real peace. The kind of peace you can only have when you're not wondering where your partner is. When you're not checking phones or questioning stories. When you're not lying awake at night with that sick feeling in your stomach that something's wrong. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how I handled things. If I regret being so cold and calculated. If I regret throwing everyone out. Making such a scene. My answer is always no. Not for a single second. Could I have screamed and cried and fallen apart? Sure. But that wouldn't have been strategic. That wouldn't have protected what I'd worked for. That wouldn't have preserved my dignity. I chose to handle it with the same intelligence and planning I use in my business. And it worked. Here's what I learned from all of this, and I need you to really hear me. These lessons might save someone's life, or at least save them years of pain. First, trust your intuition. When something feels wrong, it usually is. Don't ignore those red flags because you're in love or comfortable or afraid of being alone. Your gut knows things your heart doesn't want to admit. Second, know your worth. And just as importantly, know your legal rights. Protect your assets from day one. Keep your finances at least somewhat separate. Make sure your name is on important documents. If I hadn't done these things, if I hadn't been smart about money, the divorce would have been so much messier. Third, stand up for yourself with grace and power. You don't have to be loud to be strong. Sometimes the quietest voice in the room is the most powerful one. I didn't scream or throw things or make a big dramatic scene. I was calm. I was clear. And I was powerful. And finally, understand this. You can be hurt and still be strategic. You can be heartbroken and still be smart. Those things are not opposites. You don't have to fall apart to prove you're hurting. You can hold yourself together and still process your pain. That day when I walked into my house and saw that baby shower, something inside me changed forever. I could have crumbled. I could have let them make me feel small in my own home. But I didn't. I remembered who I was. I'm a successful woman, an intelligent woman, a capable woman. I don't need a man to define me. I don't need a marriage to complete me. I am whole all by myself. And I took my house back. I took my life back. I took my power back. So that's my story. That's how I threw a pregnant mistress and her entire baby shower out of my own home. That's how I went from being betrayed and broken to being strong and free. But I'm sharing this with you for a reason. Because I know there's someone watching this right now who needs to hear it. Maybe you're in a relationship where something feels off. Maybe you found evidence of cheating, but you're afraid to confront it. Maybe you're already going through a divorce and you feel lost and scared. I want you to know something. You are not alone. What you're feeling is valid. Your pain is real. Your anger is justified. But you're also stronger than you think you are. I never imagined I'd be divorced at 40. That wasn't part of my plan. I thought Brandon and I would grow old together. I thought we'd build this incredible life side by side. And when that dream died, it hurt. It hurt in ways I can't fully describe. There were nights I cried myself to sleep. Mornings I didn't want to get out of bed. Days where I questioned everything about myself. Was I not attractive enough? Not attentive enough? Not good enough? But slowly, with time and therapy and the support of good friends, I realized something. His cheating wasn't about me. It was about him. About his character. About his choices. I could have been perfect, and he still would have cheated, because that's who he chose to be. And once I understood that, really understood it deep in my soul, I started to heal. I started to see that this ending was actually a beginning. A chance to build a life that was truly mine. Not compromised. Not shared with someone who didn't value me. Just mine. If you're going through something like this right now, please listen to me. Document everything. Get a good lawyer. Protect your assets. Don't let anger make you stupid, and don't let love make you weak. Be strategic. Be smart. Be strong. But also allow yourself to feel. Cry when you need to cry. Scream into a pillow if you need to scream. Call your friends at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. Go to therapy. Join a support group. Whatever you need to do to process this pain, do it. Just don't let it destroy you. And know this. It gets better. I promise you it gets better. There will come a day when you wake up and your first thought isn't about them. When you can hear their name without your stomach dropping. When you can drive past places you used to go together without falling apart. There will come a day when you realize you're actually happy. Really, truly happy. Not pretending. Not faking it. Actually happy. And on that day, you'll understand that losing them wasn't a loss at all. It was a gift. Because now you're free. Free to be yourself without judgment. Free to pursue your dreams without compromise. Free to love yourself fully and completely. Free to build the life you actually want instead of the life you settled for. I want to be clear about something. I'm not bitter. I don't hate Brandon. I don't wish bad things for him. I actually hope he finds real happiness someday, though I doubt it'll be with Amber based on what I've heard. But that's not my concern anymore. His life is his life. And my life is beautifully, wonderfully mine. Every morning, I wake up in my downtown condo. I make coffee and stand on my balcony watching the sunrise over the city. I go to my office and work on projects I'm passionate about. I have lunch with friends who lift me up. I spend evenings however I want, reading or watching movies or going out dancing or just sitting in peace. And I am grateful. Grateful that I found out the truth. Grateful that I had the strength to leave. Grateful for every hard lesson that brought me to where I am now. So here's my message to you. You are never trapped. You always have options. Even when it feels hopeless, even when you can't see the way forward, there is always a path. You just have to be brave enough to take the first step. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Not in your own house, and not in your own life. You deserve respect. You deserve loyalty. You deserve love that doesn't come with lies and betrayal. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not just when it's convenient. And if you're not getting that, if someone is making you question your worth, if you're constantly anxious and hurting and wondering what's wrong with you, please hear me. Nothing is wrong with you. You are enough. You have always been enough. The problem is not you. The problem is them. Sometimes people come into our lives to teach us lessons. Brandon taught me to trust my intuition. He taught me the value of financial independence. He taught me that I'm stronger than I ever knew. He taught me that I don't need anyone to complete me, because I'm already complete. Those were painful lessons, but they were necessary, and I'm a better person for having learned them. So thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. If this helped you in any way, if it gave you courage or hope or strength, then sharing it was worth it. Remember, you are powerful. You are valuable. You are worthy of real love. Don't settle for anything less. The best revenge isn't getting even. It's living well. It's building a life so beautiful, so peaceful, so full of joy that the past can't touch it. That's what I've done. And if I can do it, so can you. Stay strong. Stay smart. And most importantly, stay true to yourself. My name is Rachel, and this is my story of taking my power back. Thank you for listening.